And we are back, and we just finished watching 1993's The Crush. This is rated R with a runtime of 1 hour and 29 minutes. This comes to us from writer-director Alan Shapiro and stars Alicia Silverstone in her first movie role. According to IMDb, the little synopsis is: a journalist becomes the unwanted center of attention for a 14-year-old girl who proceeds to sabotage his life after he refuses her sexual advances. This is tagged as erotic thriller, psychological thriller, crime, drama, romance, and thriller. I don't know where the romance is, but we caught this on Prime, but it's also on Fawesome, which I believe is a horrible streamer, Peacock, Plex, the CW, also another terrible streamer, Roku Channel and Tubi, but also to buy rent on Prime Video. I have not seen this since the theater, and I completely forgot that her name was originally Darian. Her new name is Adrian, which is a variation of Darian, if you think about it.
They probably just wanted a name that was close enough to the lips.
I suppose, but AD is different pronunciation than DA, so I don't know.
They both end the same way.
So we found out in movie trivia that this is loosely based on a real story. And originally, the character Alicia Silverstone plays is called Darian, but the real Darian got lawyers involved. So the distributor decided, yeah, we don't want to go down this road, so we got to make some changes here, which is why you said what you said. Do you want to repeat it?
Yeah, sometimes when you're watching the movie, the post-production dubbing that they do doesn't quite match up. It doesn't sound like Kurtwood Smith or Cary Elwes. It just sounds weird.
Yeah. I didn't notice any of it. I was so absorbed in the psycholunacy of the story. I'm going to go to the kids and get their impressions. Olive G, what'd you think of the film?
It was good.
Yeah, what'd you like about it?
It was weird.
It was a little strange, wasn't it? Even for, I guess, 93? Did you have a favorite character in this?
No, not really.
I'm going to ask. I'm assuming everybody's favorite scene is the same, but Olive G, what was your favorite scene?
Probably when Adrian went charging after Nick and he punched her so hard she flew away.
That is probably the best scene in this whole film.
And probably the only scene that made sense.
Why would you say that?
None of this should have happened at all. This whole film could have been avoided if the guy just had a lock on his damn door.
Or closed it.
Or just closed it. Exactly. Just closed his door. Instead, he's taking a shower with the front door to his apartment open and his bathroom door open. It's like, what's going on? And then when he sees this young girl flirting with him, instead of saying, okay, you need to leave, kid, he's just, oh, you're so smart.
Or my other favorite, oh, if you were 10 years older.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Because honestly, who says that?
Weird pervy
Weirdos.
guys. Exactly.
Had you ever seen this before?
Yeah, like the ending at least. I
Yes.
remember the ending.
Yes. What about you? You ever seen this before?
I've only seen little bits and pieces of it. I've never sat through the entire thing. Like, I had no idea that her dad was Clarence Boddicker, Kurtwood
Yes.
Smith.
We refuse to call him by his given name. He's either Clarence Boddicker or Red Foreman.
Mm-hmm.
Gee, is this your first time watching this, or like Olive, did you see the ending? Or do
I saw a bit of the end.
Yeah. What did you think of the film?
It was entertaining.
Yeah. If you were Cheyenne, what would you say to Adrian?
She was weird. I wouldn't be friends with her.
Yeah, I can see that. What did you think of Nick?
He was incredibly stupid.
Yeah, agreed. What did you think of her parents?
I mean, they weren't on screen much. They were absent.
And even when they were on screen, they didn't seem to be parenting her.
Not very good, anyway.
Yeah, like that scene where they ask her if she did something to the car, and she doesn't even say no. She just brushes it off. And the parents are like, well, I guess it didn't happen. But it seemed like they were very not in tune with their daughter, right? Because in the beginning, when the guy goes to rent the place, what does she say to him?
Says something along the lines of, I'll feel so much more comfortable knowing that there's somebody around because
they're
she's
never
never
around.
there and the husband's never there.
So who's raising this kid?
With a maid.
Nobody.
Yeah, they didn't seem to have housekeepers and staff, did they? They were well off, but I don't know if they were like wealthy.
The house was nice.
It was a nice house. So this is tagged as psychological thriller, but also crime.
I mean, crimes are committed.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. And then what is romance? Is it Nick and Amy? Because it can't be Adrian and Nick.
I think maybe, the Nick and Amy. Yeah,
Okay.
probably that's the closest you get to it. I mean, they end up having a relationship and living together.
And living together at the end. Yeah.
But there's no real screen time that's dedicated to them forming a relationship. It's just sort of like, oh, we met at the office and now we're dating.
Yeah.
And you have a creepy, obsessed stalker girl. You humor just ridiculously.
Yeah, that was bizarre, right? Like, she kept coming to him and kept inserting herself in his life. Like, after the first incident, you would think he would just pack up his shit and go, right?
Yeah, well, I think that's why people had issues with this movie when it came out, was because he was kind of leading her on, or he wasn't shoving her off at least.
Right.
Plus, a lot of people had a problem. I guess they felt like they were sexualizing a underage girl, which makes sense. I mean, apparently Alicia Silverstone was only 15 when she did this movie. She was only a year older than her character.
Right. But I mean, this comes from a place of lived experience for the filmmaker. So this, I mean, I'm hoping it's exaggerated.
Yeah, I mean, clearly it must be exaggerated. I doubt anybody was killed or hurt or maimed in the real life story.
You know what? It's funny. I thought this was late 80s. For some reason, I thought it was like 87, 88, 89. But no, this is the 90s, which also makes sense because I feel like in the 90s, you had a lot of these stories. You had your Fatal Attractions and you had your Red Shoes Diaries and your...
Yeah, there was a lot of stories about psycho-obsessed women.
Wild Things, right? Poison Ivy. All those movies came out, I guess. Well, I think Fatal Attraction is more late 80s, right? And to the 90s.
Basic Instinct,
yes, that's another one from the 90s. But getting back to this one, I guess it was kind of interesting to see it from the female perspective because it's usually the male gaze, objectifying the female. Here, the young girl is the aggressor. So you kind of have like very blurred lines about who the victim is, right? Because ultimately Nick is the victim here.
It's tough to feel sympathy for Nick because he's so stupid and allowing all of this to occur.
Yes, I was getting to that. Even though he is the victim, he kind of puts into play a lot of the things that happen, and he isn't really assertive or firm about making sure that she understands that there's a line and that it can't be crossed. Gee, what did you think of Cheyenne? What did you think of that scene of her telling him, like, no, you're right. There's something very, very wrong here. And then just what are your thoughts about what Adrian is doing all along here?
I mean, she's kind of just stating the obvious. I feel at that point it's pretty obvious that Adrian's a freaking weirdo. What point in the film did she talk about Rick again? It's after she breaks her arm?
About the camp counselor? I think, she had broken what's her face, Cheyenne's arm before.
Yeah, I'm talking about Cheyenne. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's obvious. Cheyenne's kind of just, like I said, she's stating the obvious. Adrian's insane at that point. Everyone knows. I think.
Do they though? Because it felt like.
Obviously, I'm referring to Nick.
Oh. Okay.
Everyone around is so freaking stupid that obviously, even though Nick is incredibly stupid, even he could tell. I guess because he's her target.
So I guess we can look at Cheyenne as like the exposition character because she's relaying a story that's reinforcing what we already know. And again, to your point, Adrian is doing a really great job of manipulating the situation to her advantage without really playing her hand because, well, you have that sequence where she goes to, I guess, what is that, a fundraiser? And she makes that big show. So now she's setting precedents because the next sequence is the police at the house waiting for him to arrest him because he allegedly raped her. And she has everyone convinced, like the police officers on the scene, the police officers at the station. There's the one that says, we should just leave him and the dad in a room and let them sort it out. Let the dad take care of this. So he's already guilty in the court of public opinion. That's interesting because we as an audience know that Nick, he's a dumbass, but he's really not to blame here. He is, for all intents purposes, a victim. What do you think of that?
I mean, sure, he's a victim. Bad things happen to him, but he was asking for it.
I agree with that statement.
Why do you agree with that statement?
Because he was a dumbass. He was a dumbass from the very beginning. As soon as he sees this like little girl stalking around him, even if he's like, oh, how cute, she's got a crush on me. Even if that's how you feel, you don't say, oh, yeah, just come in and hang out and make yourself comfortable and all this other nonsense. You basically say, okay, go along now, beat it. I got work to do. You don't humor the kid. You don't encourage this crush.
Right. Thank you for saying that, because I wonder, as I was watching the film, do you think if Adrian had been more patient and if she had played the long game, could she have ultimately gotten what she wanted without all the psycholunacy?
You mean like just a friendly acquaintance to him until she was of age where it wasn't like weird?
Well, not even of age. I mean, I don't know what he would have done in 2 years, but
I think he would have been with Amy. It wasn't like he was sitting around not having a romantic interest.
Mm-hmm.
There was the woman at the office that was there from the get-go. I don't think Adrian would have ever gotten her way, because by the time she was of age or whatever, he would have been gone. He would have moved on. Plus, she's like crazy obsessive. She would have found somebody else to obsess over, which she does by the end of the movie.
Right. And it's interesting because she has that sort of innocent face. And when she's talking to the doctor, she's like, oh, I wish everybody was as nice as you, and this, that, and the other thing. And then the end sequence.
And the doctor is another dumbass who's just like, oh, well, they'll understand you like I understand you. And once they do, they'll see what a wonderful person you are.
And you've made so much progress.
And you've made so much progress. You don't have a friendly relationship with your patient.
No, never.
It's like, are you taking your meds?
Right.
Okay, go back to your room.
Right. That's all I have to say to you.
Yeah, that's it. You make sure they're not harming themselves. You make sure they're taking their medicine. You have your little therapy session, and then once the therapy session is over, you don't just hang out with them in the cafeteria.
Do you think a film like this could be made now? Or it would probably be more salacious, probably, right?
I mean, you could make a film like this now. I imagine they wouldn't have the protagonist be so stupid. Because seriously, he really is asking for it, and he really is leading her on. He should know better.
Is he, though, or is he just naive? He doesn't...
He's like a 28-year-old man. He can't afford to be that naive.
I know, but you know what? Amy is the one that says to him, she has a crush on you. And he's like, no, that's, no.
That was him playing dumb.
That was him playing dumb for Amy.
She had already kissed him.
Yeah. By that point, he knew exactly what this young girl wanted from him. It wasn't like, oh... It's just her making moon eyes at me from a distance. By that point, she had already gotten him to take her to the makeout location and then kissed him.
Well, he didn't know it was the makeout location because he's just moving into this neighborhood.
Well, even still, there's no reason why of all these people at this party, a party full of adults, he just immediately zones in on the girl.
Well, she's the only one that he knows.
It doesn't matter.
Fair.
It doesn't matter. When I go to somebody's house for a party, I don't go hang out with the kids. No, you don't. So, yeah, he's a dumbass.
All right, fair enough. I mean,
if you were to make this film now, which was your original question, I don't think they could have that character behave the way that he did. They would have to make that character be more of a guy who's just like, what the hell is going on? You need to get the hell away from me from the get-go. And just have her still be all crazy and obsessed.
Right.
And have her just like killing his love interests and killing his dog or doing all the things that a crazy obsessed person would do. Then you could have this movie.
Yeah.
But you could not make it the way they made it here, where he is so stupid that he is... I think they make it seem like he likes the attention.
I mean, to a point, don't you think he does? I mean, why else would he say, oh, if only you were 10 years older?
That's just gross.
It is gross, but
yeah. That's why I'm saying those parts of the story would not carry over today.
Okay, got it. All right, fair enough. But I don't think that he's dumb per se. I think he's naive,
that's just a kind way of saying dumb.
No, but there's a difference between being dumb and naivety, right? Because it's like you're choosing.
One's more innocent than the other,
right? And I think that in his case, he's choosing not to see how bad this situation could potentially turn out if he doesn't put the brakes on it. Like when he talks to Amy, he says she says something like 13 and he goes 14. Like he's correcting her. Like the 1-digit difference makes a difference in the scheme of the conversation. It doesn't.
To me, that was just him making a joke. The way you phrase it, he's making a choice to be naive. No, you don't make a choice to be naive. You're either naive or you're willfully ignorant. There's two different there's differences.
Well, I don't think he had all the information in front of him to know that A, this kid is twisted, B, that this could potentially turn into something dangerous, and C, he didn't understand that it was serious. I think he just saw it as, oh, she likes me. She has a little crush on me. I think he knew that, and I think his ego kind of fed on that, and that's why he allowed her to continue coming into his space. I mean, he's paying rent, so his door should be locked at all times.
You could say that before the party where he goes off with her and they kiss, but not after.
But she initiates the kiss. He's kissing her back. There's no mistaking that.
It doesn't matter who's initiating anything. As soon as that happens, he should know she's not an innocent kid. She's a danger to him.
She is, but he refuses to see that. Is what I'm saying. That's why I think he's being naive about this entire situation.
I think he just liked the apartment.
It was a cute
That's
apartment.
the reason why he was putting up with it. And he was just being a dumbass. He really was just being a dumbass.
No, fair. I mean, as soon as she keyed his car, he should have left. He paid all that money to have this thing painted professionally.
As soon as she was in his house when he was in the shower, he should have been like, all right, this ain't happening. It's sort of like, remember that episode of that show where
Blackish.
Yeah, the elevator door opens and the guy sees a little white girl in there and he's just like, nope, and he refuses to get in the elevator with her. It's exactly the same thing.
Yes. No, I completely agree with you, but I guess I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. I mean, the 90s were a different time.
No, this isn't the type of movie you play devil's advocate. He's a jackass.
He's completely
he's a
wrong.
Jackass. He deserved what he got. He could have gotten out of there. Any normal person would have put the kibosh on this girl's crush immediately.
Sure. Yes.
And if
that would have been the smart thing to
she
do.
escalated it beyond anything, at least you have this, I guess, moral high ground where you could be like, listen, I am not encouraging this at all. He was never, ever able to say, I was not encouraging this.
Gee, as a viewer, you have access to information in the story, so you know that things are happening that maybe the other people in the story don't know is happening, sort of like the police and Adrian's parents and stuff like that. How do you think Nick should have acted to help his case once the rape allegation comes out?
There was nothing he could do.
No?
No. Because they had proof, too.
Right. She was
thorough,
and she was like one of those older than her years type people, because who at 14 is going through some guy's garbage and stealing, I guess, used condoms? And she must have had that somewhere for a couple of days, right? Because he had been with Amy not immediately before this. But question for you, would you buy a carousel and put it in your attic? Like, what's the point of that?
No, I would not. I wish I had that attic, though.
Yes, it was massive.
I love Hollywood movie attics because they're just so unreal.
Yeah, they really are.
They have like skylights in them and like fans with light coming through them that like create all these cool shadows. And they're all filled with just neatly piled bric-a-brac that just looks interesting, like a carousel. And they have like such neat stairs going up. Our attic is a nightmare.
No,
it's just a dust-filled
spider
den. Yeah.
Gee, what was your favorite part in the film?
When Adrian gets punched.
Why did you like that scene?
Because it was a long time coming, I guess.
Yeah.
Nick was really stupid. I feel like he should have gotten wailed on a bit more.
Yeah. What about you? What was your favorite sequence?
When Nick finally just blasts her in the jaw. But not out of any sort of like, oh, hooray for Nick. It was just because it was so ridiculous.
Yes, she flew like she was in the
flew
wrestling
at him,
ring.
and it's filmed like at a Dutch angle in slow motion, and it's kind of blurry, and she's just like, just shrieking, And he's just stands there and like finally does like this sort of like overhand jab right into her face. And she flies back 10, 15 feet into a wall. It was like suddenly he had like Captain America strength. He just cracks her in the face and she goes hurtling and falls unconscious.
Why do you think he didn't do this sooner?
I don't know. I mean, he was having...
He obviously had it in him to do it.
He could barely climb up that ladder to the attic, and then suddenly he's Superman. And that was after the dad had come up the stairs and started beating the crap out of him.
Yes, yes.
It was like finally he's just like, okay, I got it. maybe he loved Kurtwood Smith and he didn't want the daughter to beat him up anymore. He's like, no, not Clarence Boddicker.
Olive G, if you're going to give this film a number from 1 to 10, what would it be?
Probably like 6.5.
6.5. Gigi, 1 to 10.
Maybe like a 7. It was really dumb, but it was entertaining.
It was dumb, but it was entertaining. What would you say?
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 6.
A 6? Only a 6?
It was dumb, but it was entertaining, but it was maybe a little too dumb for me. It was mainly the character. If I could somehow not hate Cary Elwes' character so much, but the fact that he was so stupid. I mean, I am fully understanding that in order for a movie to progress, especially a movie like this, you need the characters to do stupid things. But come on, he was just dumb. He was super dumb, and everybody was just doing the most ridiculous things. So lock your doors, people. Lock your door. Did he even have a lock until he had that guy install one?
When he had the guy install it, his door was still open.
Yeah.
Dummy. I too would give this a 7, I think. I think from where it starts to where it ends, it's just fluff, right? It's wildly entertaining and silly, and it can feel icky at times. We're actually going to pair this with a film from 1948, which you and I saw last year, but we're just going to post it now. Every Girl Should Be Married, which is also just shenanigans from start to finish.
Another obsessed woman.
Yes. But in that one, there's more of a happy ending because all her machinations result in a marriage proposal. Here, Adrian / Darian winds up in the nut house, and you can see that
she's still nuts.
Nuts.
The only thing that's changed is her focus.
Yes, exactly. All right, so again, The Crush from 1993, rated R, with a runtime of 1 hour and 29 minutes. You can find this on several platforms. This is Alicia Silverstone's foray into the film medium. I think she had been discovered in a commercial, I think I read in trivia. But I think she's one of the stronger things in this film. I mean, I think the story is silly and over the top, but her performance it seemed, for a 15-year-old girl, it seemed very rooted in reality. Like, I believed everything that was going on, as outlandish as it seemed. I felt like her portrayal was really spot on. She did a really great job of inhabiting this character and making me believe all the things that were happening. I mean, it was icky at times and just like, oh my God, when is this going to stop? But I felt like I never disliked her, and I thought that she did a really great job. And again, to have that kind of presence at 15 is pretty spectacular. So kudos to Alicia Silverstone. Did you want to say something?
She was the only character with half a brain.
She wasn't using it for good, but...
No, she was evil, but she was at least intelligent.
Yes, probably the most intelligent. I mean, well, Cheyenne said that she knew things that other people didn't know, like the thing about the wasps. All right, so we'll wrap it up. And again, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And you can hear us again soon with another review. And with that, we will bid you all a
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
good night.